All right, guys, welcome back to Kamisha Reviews. Hit that like button and subscribe. Have you joined the membership yet? What are you guys waiting for? All right, guys. Also, super thanks, super chats. Hit that Cash App. Oh, yes, I said it again. Why not advertise myself? I am a business. I am that brand. Support content creators. We need the love, baby. With that being said, get your drink poured or whatever you got to do because you know we're going to throw shade and a whole lot of laughs is going to happen. Talk to you later. Bye. Y'all know y'all at work watching me. Y'all better hurry up, hit that like button, subscribe before your boss come around the corner. Hey girl, we still going to lunch? Because I'm hungry. Sorry, I was on mute. Jesus Christ, it's already starting out crazy already. Welcome back to Kamisha Reviews and Shenanigans and Things to Things. Reality TV. I am that queen. Don't doubt it. It is what it is. You call me vain. I don't care, but that is who I am, okay? So I have the king, who I call king, in the back, Devin, who was on my podcast before, which is actually one of my favorite podcasts. I get so many responses to that podcast. They say Devin is so real and so this and that. Things I thought about before he became the champion that he is today. So with that being said, what is going on, Devin? Yes.
We're back,
welcome. Hold on, wait a minute. Let me get my applause here. Hold on. Let me get corny. Yes. Okay. The champ is here. The champ is here. Period. If you didn't know, then now you know. Okay. So right. Devin, Lord have mercy, it's been a journey, hell and back challenge to get you on here.
Oh my God, we made it work though. You know what? We had to take a couple rain checks, but pressure makes diamonds, and we battled through adversity. And I have arrived for the second interview. And I'm so thankful to be here. Thank you for having me. Typically, people only want me on their show one time. So this is it's also a big moment for me. I got re-invited to something. So that's good for me.
Oh, I love the interview that we did, the podcast that we did, man. That podcast good. I've listened to it more than one time just on my own. It was just a good podcast. Okay, let's go ahead and get started. First, let's start with this. Why is it that, and I have to say this, I just watched the reunion like literally 20 minutes ago. The only thing that you said was, we know that she's a girl. We know that she's a girl. That's the only thing that you said in the whole entire reunion. Part two.
Yeah, I don't know what happened, to be honest.
You said she was a girl because something about Amber had somebody that said something and she couldn't reveal who the person was, and she said she, and you said we know one thing, she's a girl. And I said that's literally the only thing that he said this entire reunion.
Yeah, it was. So this is bizarre. I promise you guys, I have absolutely no idea what happened. Everyone's got their own theories. During the filming of the reunion, I was like, this is kind of funny. There's not really any questions coming in my direction. That's bizarre for the winner of the show and like a 7-season main character, for lack of a better term. The only thing that I can think of is that it's steering away from like gameplay. The reunions are typically meant for resolution, and I didn't really have any problems with anybody, so there was nothing to resolve. And so that it just wasn't a focal point of, what they wanted to get out of the reunion. Now, I'm not on the production team. I don't obviously write the script for the shows or do anything or whatever. So I have no control over that. But I thought it was, I've just seen the reaction on Twitter. People were just as surprised as I was. While we were filming it, I'm sitting there being like, oh, I literally have, I don't even have anything to say because honestly, I'm not even really aware of most of the things that they were talking about because I was locked in on the game that we were supposed to play, which is how I was able to win. But I guess that doesn't translate to being interesting on the reunion in whatever way they wanted to mold that. So I'm not a hater. I don't care. It's like, that's your product. You do you however you want to do it. But it was a long day to sit there and not say anything for a guy that can have a hard time.
Okay, I'll say this. Reunions most of the time are about resolutions, drama, or whatever, and you weren't involved with any of that.
Right.
My first question is going to be, do you feel that was a reason why that you ended up being a champion?
Yeah, absolutely. I came into this, when you look back at my earlier seasons, there's like a direct correlation between me not being able to pick my battles and getting, not making it to the end. And as we start to unfold my journey on the challenge in Spies, Lies, and Allies, I was able to stay very diplomatic. We had a really good team, so I didn't really have to be, in the hot seat. And it was a kind of a game design where everyone was transitioning and moving partners early on until we got into our cells. So there was never really an area that I could find myself in where I would feel like I was going to lose, control or whatever. I would just go to a different part of the house, whatever. And I was on everybody's team essentially. And so it was easier to be quiet in that situation. But I looked back at that gameplay and I was like, okay, there's going to be times in this game where it's difficult to keep your mouth shut. That was not one of those times. It was easy for me to shut up then, but there's going to be times in this game. And what would CT do? What would Bananas do? What would Wes do? Not old CT Bananas Wes. What would Darrell do? When you look at all these multi-time champs and you see that more often than not, they're biting their tongue, not because they're afraid of what's going to happen, but because it's not worth it. It's a risk reward situation, right? And you obviously have to, clip rumors and things when they start about you, but there's a certain way to do that. That's, I guess, a little bit more respectful. And there's a direct correlation between doing that and keeping your disagreements with people respectful and staying in the game for a longer period of time. Because if you give somebody a reason, even a fractional reason to target you, they're going to do that. And this season, I just decided kind of early on, I wasn't going to be a part of the drama. I wasn't going to really be a part of the hookups. I'm single now, but I had a girlfriend at the time. So that's off the table because I'm not a dirtbag. I'm not like a cheater.
Gotcha.
So it was just pretty simple for me. Like everybody kind of likes us for the most part. Although they did edit out some of our disagreements. Me and Colleen didn't see eye to eye. Myself and Turbo didn't see eye to eye. There was a few more things with the Michelle and Amber situation that didn't quite make it. But for the most part, I was just chilling. I didn't really have much of a problem. No one was really targeting us. So it's like, I'm not going to create a problem just to get screen time. I was just dialed in.
You were so focused on the game. So you had, Tori was your ride or die, but she was involved with stuff. So how did you keep yourself so separated? Because even your ride or die was a part of the Jordan situation. And that was big for like a minute. And you, even then when they were up there going back and forth, you just like, I was like, I don't know how he's doing it. He's just like not saying anything,
that was, so it was interesting. Me and Anissa kept saying it and she coined this phrase. I want off the ride. I want off the ride. I'm done. The two of us are sitting there as their partners being like, okay, there is nothing that you guys are going to do to each other that's going to affect our two teams playing together. There's literally nothing. So there is no point to this outside of you guys getting your own resolution and hopefully, closing the ends of this book in a, platonic way and moving on as friends, right? So however it's going to take for you guys to get there, you do that, but we're not going to get in the way. And I think we both did a good job of giving support to both Jordan and Tori, like unconditionally. Yeah. And they were both wrong in certain circumstances. They were both right in certain circumstances, but neither me or Anissa ever took sides because it never needed to be 3-on-1, right? It never needed to be me, Tori, and Anissa versus Jordan or any other combination of that. And we knew we were never going to not work together. So literally, what's the point? That's why when you sit me up there or you see me up there, they're in an argument, unless it crossed like a serious line, which none of them really ever did. I wasn't going to say anything. I'm not going to waste my time. It's like, you guys are going to be absolutely fine in 30 minutes. So what are we doing? That's kind of my thought process.
No, I get that. That's life. It happens all the time wherever we are. And about 20, 30 minutes, it's going to be a different topic. We're going to move on. So I get what you're saying with that. Yeah. I got a couple of DM people right under the comments for this live I was getting ready to do with you saying, don't let him lie on Amber. And I was like, what do they mean by that? I'm like, I didn't see you interacted or anything much with, except when you won or whatever, like, the elimination, the conversation, whatever. But other than that, I didn't see you interact much with her. So I was trying to figure out what, I said, was it unseen footage? I'm just trying to figure out what was that about. Was there anything?
To be honest, To be honest, I have no idea where that is coming from as well. I've had conversations with Amber. We're absolutely fine. I don't have a problem with her outside of the game at all. Never have. Think she's a genuine kind of like sweet, kind person. In the game, you can't play the game with all 36 people that are there. It's just not going to happen. In this season, the way that it all shook out was that we were on opposite sides of the game. So I'll never let it cross over. I mean, you have to think about like, even outside of the game, there's things. Take me and Bananas, for instance.
Yes.
We have had like a real problem with each other before this season. And I still, outside of the game, would never, take it to a place that it doesn't need to go to. That's just not my style.
Right.
So I can't speak to the comments because I don't know. If there's a more specific question, I would answer it.
That's all it was said. I was like, I don't know what's that about. Okay.
I don't know.
That's weird. Okay, well, I was just asking because it came to me and I was researching. I didn't see anything online. So I was like, I'll just ask him, when I had the opportunity, but I thought it was kind of odd too. Do you feel like you found a formula? And the reason why I say that, and let's be very transparent when I say this, you were up there with people who've done the challenge more than once, besides Bananas, who is one we all know, whatever. But for the ones who have been trying, from the Nellies to the Fetches or whatever, and I feel like you found a formula. Do you feel that you have?
Absolutely. And I think that sorry, we got a helicopter coming over the top here, but I'll try to.
I didn't even hear anything, honestly.
Okay.
I don't hear anything.
I 100% have found a formula. I found a formula a while ago. It was the last missing piece of the puzzle was that, and I've said this on like so many podcasts, I don't want to sound like a broken record, but it came to a point where I was just willing to do the things that made me really uncomfortable in order to be a champion. And for me, that's just endurance-based cardio. Thankfully, it's things that you can actually, the downfall of my game has always been preventable if I just focus on endurance. I'm never going to win a push-up contest. I'm not ever going to take a cycle of steroids. So I'm not going to be like this physically imposing person. But what I can make sure is that I'm not last in a long run. That is preventable. And for a long time, I didn't prevent it. And I thought that I could just kind of outsmart my way out of a run, which is cocky and conceited and just wrong. And so the self-realization after Spies, Lies, and Allies that like, listen, man, you had a legitimate shot. You were an hour ahead of everybody after the first day. And it came down to a race up a mountain that had a memory element attached to it. And you lost by 10 minutes because you couldn't get up the mountain fast enough. So if you ever actually do want to be a champion, you have to focus on the things that you're not good at. And a lot of these guys, you watch them, and I love Nelson. He's one of my closest friends. I will give him credit. You see a lot more Nelson with a book in his hand than you ever have, right? On his Instagram. You don't see a ton of that from a lot of the other competitors. They're not willing to work on the things that they're not good at because they don't value that skill set. And in this game, if you think that your skill set is more important than somebody else's, that's just egotistical. And it's not the case, which is why we see somebody like Jordan, for instance, be so well-rounded. He's not the smartest guy in the room. He's not the strongest guy in the room. He's damn sure the fastest guy in the room.
Yes,
but he values all aspects of the game. He values, the politics of it. He values the physicality of it as much as he values the strategy of it all. And so if you were to ask him what are the most important things, I think he would probably say they're all very even across the board. Somebody like Fessy, who I do like, just wants it so badly to be something that it isn't, which is like who's the strongest guy. It's just not what it is. So you can want it to be something, but it's not that. And so the formula, I think, and it's not like I have the keys to the castle here. Like this isn't me essentially revealing any big secret. I've said this a million times. All you have to do is work on the things that you're not good at and get better at them. That's it. That's all you have to do. You're already big, fast, and strong. You're already that way. So like, why don't work on the things that are holding you back? Like someone like Fessy, Someone like Fessy should literally only work on politicking and like figuring out how to balance love triangles. I don't know if he needs to talk to Dr. Phil or he needs to do whatever he needs to do to figure it
Right.
out. But like, you're going to put yourself in that position over and over and over and over and over again. Figure out how to deal with it better.
That's interesting because that I feel like that when you watch Fessy, that's literally what it is. What would you say about Nelson? Because I feel like, especially this season, and even when they broke it down in the reunion, even on Twitter, people were mad that he didn't revenge Fessy. If you're focused on the game, why are personal feelings involved? I've always said that. I felt like with you was a straight, this is game. This is game. This is game. This is game. That's all you were this entire season. That's why I feel like you did find the formula because you have been on there, some the same, some more than others, whatever, and they all are doing the same. I want to say fumble. No shade to nobody, but I feel like it's fumbling. You said Fessy with that situation. I love Anissa, loved Anissa for years and still will. But I'm one of the bloggers who will come out and say, myself, if they said bloggers, you're gonna go do the challenge, I'm gonna work out for a year because I know that's my downfall. I would literally work out for an entire year if they said you're going to be on the challenge, whatever. And so people came at me crazy when I said I love what they was in my podcast because I look at Anissa like she's so strong, but she had all these issues. And I said, I wish she would have trained before she came on because she's done it so many times that she still didn't get the ring. So that's why I said I feel like you had a formula. You understand what I'm saying when I say that?
Absolutely. It's going back to the same situation, and which is you have to be willing to work on what you aren't comfortable doing. You have to be comfortable being uncomfortable. Because if you're not, as soon as you become uncomfortable in the show, you're going to panic or you're going to slow down or you're going to let it kind of infiltrate your mind. That's why we saw Anissa perform as well as she did this season. In large part, Jordan's methods may be questioned at times, but let's take Not So Fast, for instance, where we're all sitting up on that stage, all of us saying, oh, this one doesn't look good. Casey and Kenny are similar height, they're similar size, they're going to be moved together a little bit easier, a little bit better. They work together because they're brother and sister, they have good communication. Pretty much everyone was saying this one's going to lean in their direction. And that didn't happen because Anissa pushed through a wall. And she says this, she did things that she didn't know she was capable of because Jordan was pushing her. So that was her moment of becoming comfortable in being uncomfortable and saying, actually, I can do this. It's in the show several times. We're going to turn those I can'ts into I can'ts. Yes. Right. And so like that situation happens over and over and over again. The truth, here's the truth of it. I think at certain points, winning or losing becomes a habit, and it's a very hard habit to break. And a lot of people that come on this show do not expect to win. It's not the reason why they're there. It's just, I know this because I was this person for a little while. I would go and be like, I think I can win, but I don't expect to win. I expect to win now. I went into this with Tori. I expected to win. And when that changes in your brain and winning becomes a habit, that's in my opinion, when you're willing to work on the things that you typically wouldn't have worked on because you're expecting to win and you're being self-aware. It's like, I'm going up against these people who are doing 2-a-days, training for 6 months. That's really tough to beat if I don't get myself together.
Wow. So to get yourself to that competition, that level, you have to really put yourself in a position and do things that, like you said, are very uncomfortable. I love that. I'm going to have to use that in other things in my life because this is something that's a true statement. I just saw so many people that came back and have been back over and over, and I just thought about it, and I was like, he came through and just straight won, not just the entire season. I feel like Nelson was coming up a little bit behind you as far as like figure things that he had something going on in the beginning, and then when y'all split the teams, it was just like I don't know, it was kind of rough for him. I feel like I think it was done.
He didn't have I think Nelson's issue was that he didn't really have somebody to. Nerys was a great partner for him, but he really didn't have somebody that was fully 100% focused on his game. Like even Nerys, in doing the Jordan hookup was
Mhm.
taking herself before Nelson's game. And that ended up coming
Mm.
back to bite both of them. What you
Yeah.
saw with the really successful partners and really the teams that made it to the final outside of
Mhm.
Jordan and Issa was Olivia and Horacio, who are willing to do
Yep.
anything for each other, Nani and Bananas, who are willing to do anything for each other,
Mhm.
and me and
Mhm.
Tori, who are willing to do anything for each other.
Yes.
There was no
Yes.
part of neither one of me or Tori played a selfish game in any aspect. And Nelson, I just think, didn't have that person that was willing to put his game above everything else. And that's the kind of partner that you need in this game if you're going to win. I need to get my computer charger. I messed this up. I'll be back in
You're good.
20
You're
seconds.
good. You're good. So, guys, this is Devin from the challenge. We really, I love talking to him. His brain is epic. He has, I feel like he's found the secret. And the reason why I say I feel like he's found the secret because I have watched this. Hey, kid, my cheeks. I have watched this show for so many years. Before I started blogging it, I was a big fan. And so now I'm the, I guess you call it a fan and a blogger of this show. And been doing it for such a long time. I've always admired Devin's game. And so I felt like that this was his year. I feel like that when you won this year, it was your time. When you came into the game this year, I felt it without knowing any secrets or anything. Kid my cheeks in the chat of the blogger. She knows I respect and love you. She even told me that she changed her mind about you and your gameplay after our podcast. A lot of people told me that because you kind of, I want to say like the villain somewhat in the beginning, like the one that's obnoxious, getting your nerves, not really trying to come win. And I feel like when you and Wes started, doing y'all thing, and I think it's great that you did learn from a lot from him because I feel like you're a combination of all the vets that's on the show. When it comes to Bananas, Wes, you're like it's all into one. You took everything from other people and you used it in the game, and I feel like that's why you became a champion. Now you can correct me if I'm wrong, but
That's a really, really accurate way of putting it. And I think I have to attribute that again. Like, there's been times in my life I've been humbled so often. Like, a lot of people don't know this. I legitimately couldn't read until I was 16 years old. So, like,
wow.
being embarrassed, being humbled, I'm used to it. I used to have to go home and memorize what I was going to read the following day. The teachers would tell me so that I wouldn't get embarrassed. Like,
Wow.
and made fun of and picked on and all this shit. So I was always like a cool kid because I'm like funny or whatever. But I also was going like to the small room to get extra time on tests. And like, so I've been humbled and I know I would rather get it right and learn it from somebody else than struggle forever learning it on my own. Like, I will just be aware in that sense. They already did it. They figured it out. Everybody that's successful takes things from people that were successful before them. Businessmen, athletes, reality TV personalities. Look at the blueprint of what works. Take the things that worked for them, try to leave out the things that didn't, and mix it in with your own blend and create that blueprint for yourself. So I owe a lot of my success in this game to CT, Wes, Darrell, even Bananas for not even maybe intentionally, some of them intentionally, like Wes, Darrell, CT, absolutely intentionally. I've had personal conversations with them about the game. I've learned from them. I've been in environments with them for months at a time where I've gotten to study their gameplay and talk to them outside of the show.
So smart, so smart.
Even someone like Bananas, he's playing the game. He's not wanting to leave breadcrumbs for me, but because I'm so dialed, I'm watching what he's doing. And it's like, he didn't win this thing 7 times for no reason. So obviously I'm going to be paying attention to what's happening there. And there's so many people that will just keep smashing their head against the wall over and over and over again, trying to do it their way when there's a golden ticket standing right next to you. All you have to do is reach out and take it. And they just refuse to do it because a lot of the people that get casted on reality TV are ridiculous egotists. They can't fathom the idea that someone else has it figured out better than them. I don't give a shit how I get it done. I want to get it done. And if that means biting your style a little bit and blending it in with my own, 100% I'm doing that shit.
Same. I look, This is the same Kid My Cheek. I feel the same way still. She's a blogger. I'm also a blogger. We're black women. We're women and we're black. So that's two strikes. So for me, watching the show and starting to do reviews on it, I didn't get any views or anything for years. And so I found my own formula and I build my relationships. And that's basically I started with Ayana. I
Mhm.
became close with her. And from her, it seemed like it just elevated where I got one with you now. I've relationships with different people from the challenge, and I found my own formula. And so now I'm known for getting the interviews. I'm known for the podcast. You have to work at it. No one's gonna do it for you. I
100%.
look at Devin and respect Devin the same way. His whole entire game, I feel like his game is excellent because he was on the bottom for a long time. He probably got tired of it like everybody else does, and he fares on form. That's why I respect your game so much. I do, I do. Kim Cheek says, I will agree. Nelson playing the nice and friendly game will not let him win. Do you feel like that? Because you turned everything off, I feel like, as far as personal, emotional. I'm not saying you were a robot, but essentially you kind of was. It was like, it's my game. Oh, like, because it's me, I'm like, it's not my game. I don't want to talk about it. You know what I'm saying? Like that. If it's
Right.
something messy, I don't want to talk about it. But strategy, I don't want to talk about it. And so, do you feel like that with some of the men on there, like the Nelsons, who people wanted to see win so bad? Fessy, I mean, it's a mix with the crowd. They want him to win or not, but Nelson is a favorite. You were also a favorite. You still are a favorite, actually. But with Nelson, do you feel like he let emotion get in his way? I mean, I just saw him on every reunion. He was so emotional about the Olivia thing, and then the whole thing with Fessy. Should he be cutthroat going into the next game? In your opinion?
This is this is the thing. Like the reason everyone's rooting for Nelson, myself included, and the reason that he does have these relationships in the game, the reason that he's able to be fucked over, excuse me, is because everybody likes him, right?
Mm-hmm.
So if he were to change and start playing this cutthroat, backstabby game, that's not Nelson.
Mm.
That may be like keeping your integrity and your heart in the game is a good thing to an extent. I think he needs to dial it down a little bit, but this season he did that. He voted Olivia in twice. They were linked up. It's like the only thing he didn't do was take a shot at Fessy, and the reason he didn't do that is because honestly, Fessy was a huge safety net for him. Mariah and Fessy were a good team. Nelson knew Fessy was never going to shoot at him again. And honestly, I know this as well because when you see in the mini final, which we had conversations about,
Mm-hmm.
Fessy
Mm-hmm.
and Mariah were sending me and Torian because they knew we were the biggest threat.
Wow.
Nelson and Nerys were winning dailies, but in Fessy's mind, I was still a bigger threat. He'll never admit this, but he knows that if I'm running a 6:30 mile at pace for multiple miles and Tori's my partner, you're in
Gotcha.
trouble.
Gotcha.
So it's hard to say if Nelson will win, if the recipe, the blueprint, so to speak, so kind
Yeah.
of what we've been talking about for
Mm-hmm.
Nelson would be to take some of his emotion out of the game. I think the blueprint or the recipe for Nelson is to continue to be Nelson. Absolutely, be Nelson.
Okay.
But he needs a system of people in place that can make these kind of critical decisions, not necessarily for him, but with him. That's what I think the blueprint for Nelson would be. And I've been able to do that with people. That's why you see people come and talk to me after they win, which people have a problem with. But I
They
swear to
do. They
God,
do. Mm-hmm.
if Jay and Michelle had listened to me, they would have been in that final. And that would be a real dangerous team in that final. Even if Nelson and Nerys had listened, they probably are in that final. Like it's the loneliness portion of the challenge that eats at people worse than anything else. And I just don't have a problem being lonely. I've made that sacrifice. I'm 33 years old. I'm single. I'm happy. I'm confident in my own self. I am fine being alone. A lot of people get into that environment. They get stressed out and they latch on to the first person they can find. And 9 times out of 10, that will be a detriment to your game. 9 times out of 10, because it complicates it. You can't play the game only for yourself now. And you're already in a partnership. So you're playing for yourself, you're playing for your partner, and you're playing for the love interest that you made. And feelings come on strong in reality TV houses because you immediately start to feel like you're in a full-blown relationship with this person. You've known them for 3 weeks. It's just an accelerator. So now you're playing for your own game. You're playing for your team or your partner, and you're playing for the person that you just have a love interest with.
Yes.
That's too much.
Way too much, bro.
That's too much to juggle.
Too much.
Like, people have a hard time doing that in the real world.
Yes.
When there's not $1 million on a line and people are trying to backstab you and lie to you and create false narratives and do all these things that are happening in the game. So if you're going to do that, like, I've very rarely seen it be successful. I've probably seen 30 showmances. I've seen 3 of them play to a benefit of somebody.
Because showmances are not really good. Oh wait, you said showmance. Okay, did mention my Big Brother really quick. Why haven't you been on Big Brother? Because your brain would be great on there. You would demolish Big Brother. Why have you not done that? Big Brother is mostly about the social game, but it's also about figuring things out. Like sitting there watching reading in the house, how many whatever frames on a wall, because it's gonna be on the question next week. So I always wondered that.
First of all, I don't think they allow you the transition. It's weird. It's kind of like a square is a rectangle. Rectangle's not a square type of vibe with MTV and CBS. They can come to us, but we can't go to them. So literally, I mean, you've never seen anybody start on MTV and then go to CBS. The first time we'll see that is with the CBS Challenge. But I even think that's on Paramount Plus. I don't know. I've been told it's a hard no on any CBS related shows coming from MTV. I don't know if that's just specifically to me. But I also know, without saying too much, I know there's been people that have tried to do it, where it's been shut down. That being said, even if they invited me, Big Brother sucks, I wouldn't do it. They don't let you drink beer. It's 100 days long.
Wait a minute. Wait a minute.
They're sober the whole time.
Hold on. Now, because everyone wants me to go on there, and I've applied, and I said this on Twitter. I said I don't care what anybody thinks. They know I love beer. If there's not beer involved, I'm not doing it.
Yeah, they won't give it to you. If you win head of household, I think you get like a couple beers, maybe one time during the season.
Yeah, you do get alcohol if you win head of household. That's for sure. I know that.
Yeah, but I know. So like, I forget who it was that told me this. Someone won it. It might have been Fessy. I don't want to say if this was him or if it wasn't, but someone was like, yeah, I won head of household. So they gave me a 6-pack and I drank them in like 20 minutes. And then they stopped giving us beer altogether. They just don't want you to be like buzzed on there at all. And I don't know if it's because of the live feeds or like whatever the case is, but they don't want you getting sauced up over there. They truly don't. So that would be real difficult for me to
Same.
To be in there and to try to be, acting like I'm having a good time or whatever. And just, I'm in there for 100 days sober. Like, no,
there's no way I could do it. So
no. Yeah, that's never going to work.
Oh, that sounds horrible.
You know what I mean?
I literally have a beer right here.
Yeah. I'm about to have one right now. I don't know why I don't have one right now.
Yeah, it's literally this cup. I tried because they told me I used to have a beer. When I used to do my live in the beginning, I would just have a beer. Behind the scenes was like, put it in the cup. So I have a cup, but everybody knows there's beer in it. I'm very transparent. So I know I wouldn't do that. I'm happy that you told me that. There's no way. Yes, but you're true. I've never seen it before, which is really a lot of people have asked for that, and you would be, oh my God, you would kill Big Brother. You would kill it.
I think I would.
How about the Trader? Would you do Trader? Because Trader,
I would absolutely do Trader. People have been bouncing that around. I've gotten tagged in a lot of tweets. I haven't watched the show yet, but the concept seems really, really cool. I think Ed's brother was on there. I just
watched this season. I just watched this season for the first time, and it was a few people from China. I thought about you were one of them. I said he would be a great Trader. They wouldn't know it. They wouldn't see it coming. They would think it would be the entire time.
I would be able to. I think it would work either way for me, because even if you put me as the Trader, now correct me if I'm wrong. The idea is there's a Trader that's kind of sabotaging the group, and you have to figure out who that person is. So
you're picked in the beginning. There's only a few, but also like the faithfuls, they have to vote out the Trader. So you may vote out a faithful because you don't know, and at the end they'll say, "I'm a faithful. You voted out the wrong one." So it's. You would kill.
Yeah, it's a lot. It's similar to the game. We play this game a lot. I forget what it's called, but there's like a game where you go around and you make like townspeople, and then people, anyone that's listening, they'll know what I'm talking about. We play it in the challenge house all the time. It's like a real life version of that game. I would do well in this because it would seem too obvious for them to make me a traitor because of my personality. So if I was a traitor, I would say, listen, obviously I'm not the traitor. And if I wasn't the traitor, I would say, obviously I'm not the traitor. So I think it would work for you either way. I think it would work either way. Yeah. Yeah, I think it would play to my benefit.
Oh, I would love to see that. I really hope that does happen. I really hope that does happen. I would live for that. You would kill it either way. They wouldn't be able to take you. I'll be watching on screen and saying, y'all don't know. He about to take all y'all money. Because the way they did Siri at the end, and the way she responded, because pretty much the crew or the people who were there who did not win and they found out she was a traitor, was emotionally, it messed them up. Like, they really was upset about it. And her response was she was struggling. And I said, if Devin was there, he would give answers and responses, but I don't know if he would, because Cody got very emotional. He's a big brother. He got very emotional about how hard it was being the traitor because you're lying to everybody. I was like, I'm gonna be evil, because I think I would have no problem with that. That's something I would love to know.
Here's the thing, like, and this is a little bit more deeper insight on why I'm able to compartmentalize games so well. And this isn't to be sad or feel like I'm asking for any sort of sympathy. It's not. This is why I am the way that I am. Of course, I don't like. I don't like lying to people. I don't like, doing that if there's not a motive for that. I'm a very honest, super transparent person, almost to the problem of it being too much in a lot of ways. And I've had to dial that back. Like, you don't have to tell someone how you feel about them. You can keep that to yourself, right? That's not a lie. Keeping something to yourself is not a lie. I've struggled with that my whole life. At this point, because I've lost so many people close to me, if everyone is alive, I'm unbothered. Everyone's alive. My family's good. Yes. My friends are alive. I'm good. The same way. I can't tell you how many I've like close friends starting when I was 17. People that like were my real hard friends died young, and it's continued on all the way through, into my dad, into like other family. It's been rough. So if everyone's alive, I'm chilling. That's just like my perspective has shifted immensely. And so, being a traitor on a game show and lying to some people that signed up to get lied to, no, it's not going to bother me.
You would be excellent on there. I really hope this happens, because I just got addicted to the show, and I did a podcast with Rachel right before. I had no idea she was going to be on the season for this season for my podcast that I did with you. The same week I did it with her, and she spoke about it. Watching her on there was different than watching her on Big Brother. That's why I want to see you on Trader, because I feel like you have to do a different gameplay to compare to like being on the challenge and being on Big Brother. The challenge, the physical things from what's on the Traders, it would be nothing to you. I'm sorry. I'm just being honest. If you compare the two, you look at it like, oh, okay, you can have to work out for the first 4 months before you got ready to go on there. Not saying you would not. I'm just saying it's not the same level. It's more brain, in my opinion. You probably would study and maybe study, because to me, I don't know how that works. If y'all know the cast before you go in, because I want to study my opponents. That's people in the house. I don't know if y'all will be able to get the opportunity. That's what I'll be studying. The people going into the house. Because the way Siri played it, I'm not saying her name wrong. If I am, I'm so sorry. They said she used other people's family and dynamics for the game. In my opinion, when you're in the game, and I've gotten so many bloggers who said I'm wrong, you're in the game. If my blood is good, my family, they straight, I'm trying to get money, I'm sorry, I'm going to be ruthless. And I stand on that. I'm not changing.
It's really the only way, and this does circle back to the idea of Nelson, potentially getting to be a challenge champion, is there are people that really truly struggle with that idea. And I think that it's just like being able to separate the game in real life. The lines get blurry when you do make these real genuine friends. And there's a lot of other people that can't relate to what you've gone through in this show because they've never done it. That's why we see so many reality TV show relationships happen outside of the shows, because it's like, oh, you understand like how stressful this is. When I leave to go do this thing, you know what I'm going through. Like, I get a 5-minute phone call every week. If I call you and you're like, I need you to come home, that could be the straw that breaks the camel's back. Right. So
Wow.
it's like that type of shit, excuse me, that type of stuff is very important, because it's like a common ground. It's an understanding of someone being able to sympathize and empathize with your situation. With that being said, when you do build those relationships, it makes the game much stronger. I've got a pretty tight circle of people that I'm friends with from the show that I like know for sure I'm friends with. And I will prioritize them in this game always. I always have.
I understand
that circle stays tight. And the reason everyone's like, why you don't like any of the rookies ever? I don't have any space. I mean, that's not true. I do like if there's a cool rookie, I'm not going to be anti the rookies. Look at this season. Olivia's awesome. Nerys is awesome.
Yeah. Yes.
Tommy's hysterical. Jack's great. Like, you go right down the list. There's a lot of really cool people in there.
Especially this season, yes.
I won't promise the world to everybody. That's why my word is actually taken seriously, because I don't go around. I know it seemed like I made a lot of deals this season. The only thing I was doing was looking at the numbers, being like, here's the teams I want to work with. Here's the teams I don't want to work with. Never made a deal with a single team I didn't want to work with, because they were never going to win. Ask Colleen and Kim if I try to make a deal with them. No. Ask, honestly, Annalise and Tommy if I try to make a deal with them. No. It's like, you go right down the list. Turbo and Tamara. No. So Amber and Chauncey. No. Why was that? Because I didn't think, I analyzed their teams, I watched them compete, and I didn't think they were going to win anything. So
you got a lot of slack though when you was doing that with Johnny with Bananas and that whole little thing, which I thought was a smart idea, where you had that temporary thing. I saw a little negative comment, not much. What did you think about that? I was surprised of the responses. I thought it was a pretty good power move. Y'all was right there. Why not work together to get to the end? I just didn't 100%. Get it. Did you see any of that?
Yeah, I've seen people saying that, and it's like, if the outcome had gone the other way and we had lost to Bananas and Nani in the final, that would have been a tough pill to swallow. Because I did bring him there, in part, but he also brought me there in part.
Yeah, okay.
Which is why I gave them the money. It was a symbiotic relationship. They deserved that money because they helped us get there, and we don't get there without them. So it's like, to me, if you don't have confidence in your own ability, you have to play the game where you try to get the good people out first. That's the game you have to play, because you want to go to the final with the weakest possible teams to increase your chances of beating them. Yes. If you're confident in your abilities, you think you can beat anybody, it's better to team up with them. You're almost guaranteed. Say you take the 5 strongest teams and you're like, we're just going to work together. There's going to be a twist. We won't waver. There's no need to try to wrangle the rookies for numbers. If we keep winning, we're good. Like, the way this was broken down, there was no house vote. There was just one team wins. One team goes straight in. 3 teams go to the draw. So there was no reason to have these relationships spread out. There was no house vote. If the teams weren't going to win, don't work with them. They're not bringing anything to the table. So the teams that me and Tori decided to work with were the teams we thought could win things. Jay and Michelle, Nerys and Nelson. Fessy and Mariah, Nani and Bananas, Olivia and Horacio. You go right down the list, Jordan and Anissa. Those were all the strongest teams in the game. Casey and Kenny. It's like, a lot of us didn't get wins until later down the season, but all those teams were like stacked top 1 through 5 finishes in every event that we did. So we knew if we just kept our heads above water and no one took the first shot, we will float into that final. And it wasn't necessarily a float, but if you team up with the 5 strongest teams in this scenario where there's no house vote, three of you are going to make it to a final. That gives you a 60% chance. If I can walk into a house and get a 60% chance of making it to a final, I'll take that all day. I don't care who I'm there with, because anything can happen. I like my odds. I'm very lucky. I put a lot of hard work in, and it's going to be very difficult to beat me. That's my mentality. So if
That's
someone
how I
beats
feel. Period.
yeah, if someone beats me, you beat me, fine. You got
Yes.
it. You got it done.
Yes.
Not going
Mm-hmm.
to take
Mm-hmm.
anything away from you, but I'm
Yeah.
also never going to shy away from the Wesses, the CTs, the Jordans, the Durrells.
Of
I'm
course.
never
Of
going to
course.
shy away from them because I
Yes.
know I can beat them.
Did he freeze?
I don't
Okay,
think so.
so yeah, you froze for like 30 seconds.
Okay.
So we got the new global coming up championship. We also have, I think it's Challenge USA. Is I think they're both on Paramount. Do you have any thoughts about the new stuff coming up?
I think it's going to be electric. I would encourage people to give it a watch. It's like I was a little, I'm not gonna lie, I was a little hurt that I didn't quite make the final cut there, considering I just won the
Period. I did.
the
I wanted to
show.
say it. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Little bizarre.
Very.
Not sure what that was about. Haven't gotten an answer. Haven't gotten a straight answer on that one yet. Don't think I ever will. But with that being said, I look at the cast and I'm like, with the exception of Theo, who I personally wouldn't consider a legend, 2 seasons, no rings, probably not. That's a bit of a stretch for a legend. Everybody else is an absolute no doubter. And it's not that I don't like Theo, but I don't even know if I would. We typically are like, once you've done 3 seasons, you're a vet. That's kind of the narrative that goes around in the house always, which is like, you get 3 seasons under your belt, you've been here for a little while, you're a vet. To go right from 2 seasons runner up to legend status in the same conversation with Wes and Bananas and Jordan, it's like, and even Nelson's a legend, absolutely no doubt in my mind. Theo, the only one I can, and it's not because I don't like him. I don't think he's done enough shows to become to be considered a legend. But you look at that list, they're stacked. They're absolutely stacked. Durrell's in there, Wes, Bananas, Nelson, Jordan. I mean, they're stacked. It's going to be awesome to watch. And the international side seems great. And then on the other side, on the female side, Casey, Tori, Amber, like, they're stacked. It's an absolutely stacked lineup. So for me, I'm going to be really excited to see, like, in a game where there's no layups, what's going to happen. Like, it's going to be exciting right off the bat because there's not going to be any leeway, in my opinion.
Okay. Because it's a big thing with the USA one. I know that I'm excited because they're saying the Cam and Leroy coming back, who I thought had stopped doing it. What would you give advice to Leroy, who also is a fan favorite but never gets there? He kind of reminds me of the Nelson and Festi situation, kind of, but still different. So, how do you feel about that? Because,
so Leroy's a tough one because he actually is incredibly well rounded, and he's seen a lot of these games before, which is a huge benefit. He's strong, he's fast, he's driven. He's sneaky good at puzzles. I've watched him do it. Him and Casey on Double Agents won like 7 or 8 dailies, something crazy like that.
I remember that. Sure. Yes.
I'm not sure exactly what it was, but it was a lot. 7 or 8 might be an exaggeration, but it was easy 4 or 5.
I remember that. Yes.
So advice I would give him, I don't think I'm in a position to give advice necessarily to people that have played this game for 12 years, but Leroy is going to have a hard time because he thought Double Agents was going to be his retirement season. And so he pulled out all the tricks. He was lying to everybody in that house, and we all eventually figured it out. It was the common denominator scenario. And Cam was very much a part of that. And their outlook was, this is the cutthroat game we have to play to give ourselves the best chance at winning. And they both got to that final. So you can't fault them for that.
Yeah.
But to not get it done in that situation and burn all those bridges.
Yep.
None of us have forgotten. Right. So like for me, I don't care because I got my ring. Right. So if like Cam and Leroy came on a season, I'd be like, oh, I'm down to work with you guys. I don't care. Pass the pass. Right. There's a lot of people that don't have that ring that have not forgotten that. So I think it's going to be a tough road. As far as advice goes, I would say probably you can only play that card once. You already played it. So you might have to go back to the drawing board altogether.
Yeah, I said USA, but I'm sorry, it's the All Stars.
All Stars 4,
Everyone, yeah, the All Stars 4. 'Cause everybody's excited about it. So for you, you're a champion now. What is next for you? What's coming up?
I don't know, to be honest. Again, I'm not really sure where I stand with like. So to be completely honest, no call for the global. No
That's
All Stars
crazy.
4. No All Stars 4 call. Haven't heard
Crazy.
anything about anything else. I think people are in the process to do stuff now. I haven't heard a thing. Zero airtime at the reunion. I don't know if I've done something wrong. I don't know. Maybe me winning was not in the the
Cards.
idea of what we wanted to have happen because I am so unlikable for so long. I don't get it. I'm not sure what the deal is, but it's been radio silence, and I put a lot of time into this show. So if the road does end here, I'm not like salty about it. I'm happy for everyone else that's going to continue to get to play this game, and it's changed my life for the better, obviously, in so many ways. So I'm so thankful for it. But as of now, I don't know what the future holds because to be honest, I'm kind of in the dark. And I certainly hope if they call, I'm there. I'm going to play every time they call, pretty much forever. Because I now think, as we talked about, the blueprint is set.
Yeah,
it's gonna be really hard to beat me now.
very.
I think it's gonna be really tough to beat me, especially if like got a little extra invest in yourself money. You better hope I don't get a trainer. You better hope I don't get a nutritionist, right? I might have to write a couple checks for some people that are really start to break the chisel out on your boy here. And at that point, that's going to be a problem for people. Like, imagine if I didn't put the cans down altogether, but like moderated boozing.
Right, just straight.
If I just kept it like casual, keep in mind, like I've done this my whole thing, half in the bag. The whole I've been half in the bag for the last 10 years. I'm not proud of that, but that's just my personality. I like having a good time. I like starting the party. It's just like I've been able to make connections and have success through that. So that's just like what I know. It's like what I like to do. Some of these kids are out here sober. Horacio, cheat code. So hello, we're not playing the same game here.
Oh my God.
I'm battling a hangover migraine. The kids out there feeling like $1 million running laps. I'm like, this is not equal. So imagine if I just even went moderately low on the sauce and like started taking it real seriously. That's a problem because, again, I hope they listen to this podcast. I hope they do it because it's so many of my friends. I want to win. I'm not a greedy person. Dude, go on Amazon and buy some puzzle books. They're like $6 for 10.
Oh, wow.
Just buy them. Just get them and do them in the same way that you would do normal puzzles, which is not at your house where you're drinking wine on the couch. It's run a mile and then try to solve a tanagram. Go for a hike and then do some math problems when you're out of breath, when you're uncomfortable. Replicate the scenarios you're going to have to produce during on the show. That replicate your training. Practice how you play how you practice. It's like, do those things and then I won't be so confident. But unless those things happen and we start to see like West, Bananas, CT, Durrell, again, I keep listing those 4, but for me, those are 4 of the top 5 all time. So I have to list them. How many do they have left? And once that wave passes on, if I'm fortunate enough to keep doing these shows,
you're going to be in that spot, Devin, because if they stop playing, you're going to see more Horatios and Livias, more Devins. That's going to be the new blueprint. Because to me, watching Anissa this season, I asked the question. I'm just being honest in my Twitter. Do y'all think she should come back? It was a mix. Do y'all think she should keep playing? It was such a mixed responses. So I'm like, some people are just going to retire. You're going to try to keep doing this and you're not making it. Eventually, they're going to stop. if you have nothing to do, nothing going on, they don't call you, you're not under contract, I would like to have you come on my channel to do commentary with me if when you have time, especially with the All Stars 4.
Oh, I'd
Or,
love to
or
come back. I'd love to come back, and I haven't started watching all the All Stars yet. I watched All Stars 3 in sections where I knew Wes was going to have done well. And so I would watch his episodes, his big episodes, because I'm just like a fan of him,
I
not
am
just my
too.
friend, but like I'm a fan of his, the way he plays the game.
Same.
I probably will watch All Stars 4 because my boy Tony's back.
It'd be crazy.
Yeah, I've heard,
Crazy good.
allegedly. I don't know. I haven't
Right.
talked
I
to him.
know. There's so
Yeah,
many things going around
yeah.
right now, but
Allegedly Tony's back. And yeah, it'll be cool to see if the rumors are true that Cam and Leroy are there. That'll be cool. But
yes.
I'd love to. And I mean, I got a bunch of other shit going on where our brewery is absolutely crushing it right now in Mass. I've got some big partnerships with sports books out here in Mass. Sports betting was just legalized in Mass. So there's definitely some other things, that are happening. I still have my other 3 businesses that I run,
right.
but
Of course.
as far as entertainment goes, I certainly hope this isn't the swan song, but if it is, I've gotten everything I could have possibly wanted from this journey. I won Are You the One? I won Second Chances. I've been in the money 3 times on the challenge. I've done 11 shows, Star of X on the Beach. Like, the resume speaks for itself, and that's not me being conceited. That's just literally look at the stats.
It's facts.
7 challenges, 3 finals, 2 bronze, 1 gold, over $500,000 in prize money. Like,
wow.
Sorry, haters, but
Period.
it's partially your fault because you guys gave me so much inspiration to prove you all wrong. And I promise you, if you give me that, the doubters keep doubting, I'll just keep proving you wrong. Done it my whole life. No one thought I would ever be in a position like this. I guarantee you there's a lot of middle school, high school, even grade school teachers with their head in their hands at some point because they never thought this was going to happen. I was the kid that couldn't read with behavioral problems and ADHD, and his parents refused to give him medication. And somehow, look at me now. I'm calm, cool, and collected under pressure, and I'm known as the puzzle guy. So
yes, you are, and you are. I'm gonna let you go after this, but one of my content creators, one of my mentees in the chat, has a question for you. Kid My Cheeks TV says, if you ask why is the Nelson and Leroy can't backstab, it's always remembered and held against them, but other non-black casts have backstabbed or allowed to form a huge alliances and is considered good game. And outside of Amber B, we have not had a black winner in decades. Just curious of your thoughts. Well, he says his thoughts, but just talking about you.
Correct. Yeah, I don't. So as far as that, the stigma that you're, I guess, describing of certain players being held accountable for backstabbing or whatever, I don't think personally, I don't see it that way. Like Nelson, I think Nelson's known mainly for the opposite. And I would say, like, so this is just me personally speaking for myself. Like, no one trusts Bananas. Absolutely no one trusts Bananas. He stole the money from Sarah. We still make fun of him. I tried to give Sarah Bananas $38,000. So like, I definitely don't forget that. I guess maybe I'm ignorant to that. If there is, if that is happening, I haven't seen it, but like also only speaking to me, like I just mentioned, if Leroy came back, I'd be happy to play with Leroy. I think that it's like, I'm more thinking some of the people that he was, I guess, saying 2 things to. Like, I've had conversations with Darrell where once Darrell was eliminated and me and him had a conversation, we were like, oh my God, I thought it was you the whole time. You thought it was me the whole time. And it actually was Leroy. Right. And it was like, so we've had that conversation. So I don't necessarily see that if that is happening, or if people feel like that's happening, that's really shitty. And I would never be a part of something like that. I would never, like, I judge everybody, period, regardless of your skin color, of your gender, of your sexual preference, of your age. I judge you all equally because I think truly in my heart we are all equal. That's the only thing that I can do, is be a supporter of universal civil liberties and like actually be someone that supports equality. So I don't care who you are. If you backstab me, you're going to get the same reaction. As far as there not being any black champions since Amber, or I don't know what you said, maybe it was like a decade or whatever.
Amber B won. Yeah.
I have absolutely no idea, comment, anything. I can tell you why it's not. It's not because we don't have a lot of really skilled, talented, smart, well-rounded black people on the show, because there are. They're my friends. I know that. And I think that it's probably just a really, 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 really hard game to win. And no matter who you are, it's very difficult to win. And it's like just the odds are not in anybody's favor. So I can't speak to the reasons as to why, but I certainly am just as I mentioned, a supporter of equality across the board. And that all I can say to any of that stuff is, if it is happening at all, I don't support anything like that ever, never would. And a lot of people wouldn't even field this question. So I'll always keep it 100 with everybody, and I'll always treat everybody with respect and as equals, because I believe in my heart that's the case.
Well, she clarified. She said, no, not saying people do that. It's just not a conscious thing, but it's noticed as someone watching from the outside.
Oh, I got it. Yeah. Oh, so not consciously making that effort. Yeah, I don't know.
Yes.
As far as an unconscious decision to hold grudges against people, I can, again, only speak for myself. And like, I know I would never do that. And I think, and I like to think, it's a tough time right now, but like, I really like to think the network does do a really good job with these trainings for everybody, to get everybody on the same page. And they do like unconscious bias trainings and microaggression trainings and workshops that we all go through before we go into the house, to make sure that it's like a safe and comfortable place for everybody. Especially since we started pulling international castmates into the game, where everybody comes from a different culture, and some things are, like more focused on or less focused on depending on where you are in the world. So I will give credit to the network for at least attempting to get everybody on the same page and create a safe place for everybody to be. If those things are happening in the subconscious, I can't speak to that, because I would only be able to speak the fact of how I view it. And I certainly hope that no one's doing it, but I can say for sure everyone's getting the same treatment from me, period.
Well, for me, I would say for the challenge, I've always loved the diversity of the challenge compared to a lot of reality TV. That's never really been my issue, except for a couple of instances. It's always been gameplay for me, and why aren't you winning? That's just, And so she just said thank you, and I want to say thank you too, because you didn't have to answer that question. And you're such a transparent person. Why I respect him so much. And I first was like, I don't know if you're gonna answer it or not, but I said I'm gonna just ask him. But you answered the question. You didn't have to, so. And I'm happy she clarified, because at first I was like, wait, what? So she clarified, and I understood what she was trying to come from, because we don't have many people of color winners. And so we dig deep and try to figure out why. I say different things. Everybody has different opinions about it. So thank you for being uncomfortable for a moment.
Oh, no. There's the
if
thing
you were
is,
at all.
I don't ever feel uncomfortable having real world conversations with people, because I firmly believe that the only way that we'll ever like truly make progress is if we're, like we've talked about during this podcast, if we're comfortable being uncomfortable. That's when progress happens. So
I agree.
Like, to me, is it easier to avoid all things because, oh, maybe someone will take something you said out of context, or they'll do this or they'll do that. I would rather just have the conversation respectfully and with like a pure intention than to not have it at all. Because if you don't have it at all, and I'm not just talking about this one question, I'm talking about in general. In general, I would rather have conversations that may not necessarily be as comfortable as others, because I want progress overall. And I don't think that you ever get that there. No one's ever just going to walk up and hand it to you. Like, oh, here you go. No, you have to have those conversations. You have to bounce ideas off each other. We have to make each other better. That's how we get better as a society, like in general. So I'll always, I'm happy to talk about really any topic that people are passionate about, because it affects all of us in different ways. And that's something that you have to be aware of as well, is like your experience with something may not be someone else's, which is why I always try to speak only from my experience and just say, here's what I think, here's how I can view this. And it's an interesting question. And the only thing, the only thing I can say, it's not for lack of outstanding competitors. It's everybody on that show is so, I say this all the time. If you take one of these challengers, for the most part, like a multi-seasoned veteran of the challenge, and you put them in literally anything against a normal person, they're winning. But if you put them in a house with a bunch of other like crazy
champions,
or just well-rounded people in general,
right.
We've even been talking to say, like, some people don't value other aspects of the game. With that being said, that aspect that they may not be necessarily valuing, they would still beat 99% of planet Earth in, because they're used to it. Like, run up this hill, jump off this mountain, swim to these puzzle pieces, take them over here and build the puzzle. If you've never done that before, if it's your first time doing that, you're going to have a really hard time. Experience pays dividends. So it's like, I think I just give a lot of credit to all my castmates that are undervalued, as I feel I have been in the past. I know that we're all just a bunch of dogs, and kudos to all of you for putting up with this wild life that we decided to live.
Well, I'm gonna ask you one final question. I'm gonna let you go, and hopefully I can have you back on here for some commentary. But do you feel like you didn't get enough shine for your win? I'm gonna say this because I feel like over the years, I feel like you was hated on a little bit. It's like they did not want to see you win. I mean that just collectively, I've always thought that as a fan. So when you got your win, I just felt like it, and then you did in the second part of the reunion together. I was like, I feel like he didn't get enough shine. This was a big deal. He had no drama. He straight beats it through him and Tori. Why isn't he getting more shine? And that's just my opinion.
Yeah, it's difficult because I'm so elated and so proud of myself, and so like just ecstatic that I like truly accomplished what was a dream of mine, like an actual dream. That I can't say I'm disappointed, but I think that it was almost less about us winning and more about Bananas and Nani losing. And that could just be, again, story related. Like, obviously everything Nani had gone through with her mom, that was a huge situation. If Bananas had been able to come in and after 12 seasons get her that win, I understand that storyline. Like, I totally get that. And it is, again, it's a TV show and they're making a TV show. So I just don't think that me and Tori are quite as big of characters as Bananas and Nani, obviously, because they are like, have legitimate footprints in the foundation of this show. And of this game. So I wouldn't say I'm necessarily disappointed or really even surprised. For me, I was just kind of like, oh, this is how it's happening. It was like, I'm used to all that now because I've watched certain things get a lot of attention and other things get no attention. And sometimes I agree with that. And sometimes I don't agree with that. But regardless, it's like it was just like, oh, this is what it is. Okay. I would have liked more shine. Duh. Like, clearly I would have liked a couple questions asked at the reunion about, hey, you gave away, almost $250,000.
Yes, you did.
Well, between myself and Tori, like, hey, you guys started as absolute enemies and you moved all the way through this game and now have become like the champions of a show called Ride or Dies. That's kind of an interesting journey in and of itself, right? So, like, I think there was things to dive into there, but for whatever reason, they decided to go a different route. And I'm not going to like sit here and question the thing or the way, the procedure that got this thing to 38 seasons. Obviously, just like I have a blueprint for winning, they have a blueprint for continuing to make the show, and they're sticking to their blueprint and I'm sticking to mine. And this time it didn't sync up in terms of shine or recognition or whatever. But the one thing no one can take now ever is that I am a challenge champion. And I got to do it with like my best friend, and she is so deserving of it and has worked so hard to get there, that to be able to do it not only for myself but also for her is like, that feeling is, you get that feeling's priceless. So however it played out, I don't have a single regret on how anything that happened or how any of it played out, because the result of it is we're champs.
You're champs. It's a beautiful thing, but I just thought that was trash. It was, just being honest. People I've seen in other places where they say they feel like you should have got more shine. And just like Kim My Cheek says, reality TV is more about drama, about Jordan, Nuries, and Johnny and Raven. Raven and Johnny, who left really early in the game. That was spoken about the first part of the reunion. I get it. I get the views. I get it. But it just should have dug more deep into your gameplay. The whole thing about giving the money away. That was important stuff that hadn't happened on the challenge. So anyway, whatever.
I can make one more. Let me make one more just thing that I just thought of actually while we're having this conversation is, if we want to build towards like new cast members potentially being recurring members, if they did leave early, there needs to be a space for the viewer to get to know them a little bit more. So like in the Johnny and Raven instance, that's probably, in my opinion, that's probably an avenue to say, hey, here are these characters that will probably be back. And when they come back, now you know a little bit more about them, as opposed to someone like me and Tori, whose seasons can kind of speak for themselves. And that maybe could be something that I'm thinking of, which is just like, you didn't get to see these people for that long.
Yeah, that's true too. It is.
So here's a little bit more of them, because you already know what this idiot's about. Been watching him for 7 seasons.
I didn't see the word somebody put in the chat. I was surprised when Bananas and Devin and Tori surprised when Bananas said Devin and Tori cheated, but not drinking everything there. We're supposed to be on the first leg of the final comp. He did say that. I don't remember that.
I don't remember him saying that, but if he did say that, then it's in direct opposition to what he said about Fessy, which is anytime he loses at something, he just creates an excuse for them. What happened in the first leg of that final, which I've already talked about several times, is that the rules weren't clearly laid out. When you had colored mugs of the whatever the stuff was, it was so bad. If you got one of your slingshots, you could give your mug to somebody else. That was made clear. What was not made clear is that if somebody gave you one of their mugs, you could not move that mug.
Okay.
So once someone gave you one, you had your color and then you had all the other colors. You were supposed to get rid of your mugs, your colors, and then whatever other colors you had to drink all of those. What everybody was doing, not just me and Tori, what everybody was doing was, okay, you give me one of your mugs, I'm going to take that mug and give it to somebody else because I don't have to drink my colored mugs. So, but everybody was doing that.
Right.
And I still had to drink 5 of them.
It looked nasty.
I still had to drink 5. 5. Not 2, not 3, not 4, 5.
Like,
and they brought us another one. They brought us 2 more, actually. So I drank 3 there. And then they brought us 2 more while we were running with the tires, made us stop and made me drink them there. And both of them had Olivia's blood all over them.
Oh, my God. Oh, my God.
Yeah, true story.
First of all, oh my God, seeing Olivia and all that what she was going through, like I know y'all was in the game and everything, but to me it's like I know you have to focus, keep going, but that was a lot. Even though it wasn't y'all that was in it, that was a lot to see her going through that. And nothing was actually happening to make it happen. It was just really bad luck. I don't know how y'all even dealt with that, because I know y'all wanted to say, "Oh my God," and seeing Horatio at the end, did that affect you seeing him at the end? knowing that he wasn't going to be in the game, and how emotional he was about not being there anymore.
Oh, that poor kid, man. I have not a bad thing to say about Horacio. He may be the nicest person of all time. He truly might. He truly may be the nicest person of all time. And when it killed me when he was like, "I'll do double work. I'll do double work."
Yes,
He really would have.
I believe he would have too.
He actually would have. And and he might have been good at it. So that it was heartbreaking because he wanted it so bad. But here's another thing about Horacio. Like, obviously he's going to be back time and time and time again. That boy is a problem. He is good. He is good. And he's focused, and he's kind, and he's driven, and he's smart, and he's athletic, and he's humble. I mean, you go right down the list, it's like he's checking all the boxes. So my only concern for Horacio, I'd love to play with him again. I mean, I think he's a great guy. He's trustworthy. I would always play with him. My only concern is that when you check that many boxes, people may start to try to use you as a mercenary. It's just like, well, we don't like this guy. Let's put him in against Horacio because we know Horacio's coming back. And if you go into enough of those things, eventually you're going to get something where it's just not your night. So I'm certainly not going to do that because I really like him. But I could see rookies coming in and being like, oh, let's target that kid because he's really good.
Yeah, a lot of people. He had a lot of fans. Him and Olivia both. They want to see them win because how much they endured this season. Not even just that, just the gameplay and how they were just winning. And they wanted to, and they feel like they had a lot of bad luck. What would have happened if they wouldn't have gone through all that? I mean, I don't know. I want to see them again. I'm disappointed that you're not going to be on the global but I'm gonna tell you something about All Stars. More or less, people who haven't been on challenge for a couple of years, and I'm just being fair, and they put them on the All Star.
Right.
So it's probably why you're not going to that. But I'm surprised about the global. I'm real surprised about that one. So
yeah, I think just as you start to go down the list of the cast, it's like, and this is the only thing I can think of, is because I have mirrored my game from so many of these guys. It's like Jordan's there, Wes is there, Darrell's there, Bananas is there. The only one that I've really taken big pieces of my game from that aren't there is Corey Wharton and CT. And so if all those four guys are there, Darrell, Wes, Bananas, and Jordan, maybe having a character that is completely different from them is beneficial from a viewing standpoint, because we're going to say and do a lot of the same stuff because we look at the game the same way, because I learned from them. So it may be like that whole learning from them thing may be a bit of a double-edged blade, because as I start to watch things unfold, I'm thinking to myself, oh, I kind of know what they're going to do, and they know what I'm going to do. And maybe that's a little bit boring to watch. That's the only thing I can think of.
Well, either way it goes, you being on the challenge has been, you're part of history. You winning is actually history. If they're smart, they would actually check out your formula, because, and I said in the podcast, and I can see you said it on other podcasts as well, I feel like you found the formula. You took from everybody else and you were smart. Some people on these things are probably, their ego is high, and they want to say, oh, I took from them, I learned. No, I got on my own. Realistically, in the world, you got to take from other people. It's your blueprint, but you were smart enough to take from other people to create your own. That's what I feel about the situation. So I hope I get to see you on here again, because the global, I got a feeling, from what I've heard, there's a lot going on. I've already heard rumors. There's a lot going on there. And so I would love to hear your commentary, instead of being the one on there, just having your commentary about what we're seeing and how they're playing. I look forward to it.
I'd love to. Maybe we check in like midway point in the season, and we can, is it one of those things where they release episodes all at one time, or you can come on, you can watch them all?
The one on Paramount, it's going to be every week. It's going to be every week.
So it's weekly. So yeah. When we get to like the midpoint, maybe I can hop back on and we can kind of dissect, because at that point we should have a decent idea of how everything is going to kind of shake out. I think, at least, from a strategy standpoint, it might be cool to like watch a little bit and then dissect like that first half. I'd be happy to do that.
Okay, perfect. Okay, I'll keep in contact with you. Building relationships with me with reality TV cast is one thing that I pride myself in being a blogger because I like to give y'all opportunity to speak on platform because watching it as a fan or just reviewing about it, we miss a lot of stuff. And so we give commentary, but we don't know everything. So I like to give cast of reality TV an opportunity to speak on certain things. I know y'all can't speak on everything because of production and I know all that, but you can speak out still. Maybe a narrative that you don't like is out there. So I like to give y'all the opportunity. So thank you for
Absolutely.
taking time out for coming on my show, my channel. Guys, y'all have not followed Devin on Twitter or Instagram. I will have his links in the description once the live drops. And also the podcast that we did previously before this. I still respect his brain, his gameplay, and even the smart ass comments. I love all of it. So make sure you guys follow and subscribe and check me out as well. With all my other reviews coming up very soon. With that being said, I'm out of here. Queen Reality TV. Bye.